All right. Hey, everybody. So today I wanted to talk about how you can actually get the most out of your data. As data consultants, we love working on technically challenging problems and building really nice, easy to use, good looking dashboards. But I would say the most satisfying thing about our work is when our clients are actually able to use that data to improve their business. That's the point of what we're doing. So today I wanted to talk through a couple of reasons that companies don't always make the most out of the data that they have and what we can do about that to try and course correct and make sure that you're making the most out of the time, money, energy that you've invested into an analytics foundation for your company. So you've probably invested in dashboards, tools, maybe even a data team, but you could still be asking yourself, why aren't we getting anything out of this? I get that. I've worked with dozens of companies from scrappy startups to large enterprises, and most of them are stuck in the same trap. It's not necessarily about the tools or how much data you collect. It's about what you're doing with it. It's about your strategy. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly why most teams see no return on their data investments and what you need to change to fix it. The truth is that most companies are treating their data like decorations. They install dashboards, connect a few sources, and expect magic to happen. They think just seeing numbers on a screen will spark performance, but there's no plan, no goals, no accountability. And data is not a silver bullet, it's a spotlight. So if you're not acting on what it shows, it's just expensive wallpaper, if nothing else, for your company. It's like building a home gym and never using it. That's what dashboards become if there's no action taken from what they're showing you. The potential is there, but potential means nothing without changing your behavior. So one of the first problems that we see for some clients and past companies that we've worked at is that they don't have goals or a plan with what to do with their data. So the first big problem, like I said, no goals. If your dashboards don't tie directly to a business outcome or a KPI with a defined target, what are you measuring for? Dashboards without goals are just expensive mirrors. Your metrics should be your scoreboard, and you should be able to tell whether or not you're winning or losing. One of our clients realized this the hard way. Their marketing team had 5 dashboards, but couldn't tell if their campaigns were actually working. We built a goal-first framework with just 3 core metrics, and suddenly everything snapped into focus. Within just a couple of months, they increased their lead to opportunity rate, and this was primarily because they started to focus on it rather than having dozens of metrics that didn't necessarily mean anything or have a goal tied to them. Um, Oftentimes, another problem that we see is that even if our clients do have goals and at least some semblance of a plan in place, they might be tracking the wrong metrics. So we see this one constantly. Teams are frequently obsessing over lagging indicators like total revenue or last quarter's churn, things that they can't influence on a day-to-day basis. It's important to track those high-level metrics, but there also needs to be an emphasis on tracking the things that are in your control and that you can take action towards improving on a regular basis. Worse, they might cling to vanity metrics that look impressive but drive zero decisions. The real power comes from operational metrics in our experience, so the ones that you can change on relatively short notice. Like you have influence and power to do something about those metrics, and they build up to higher level metrics that are the sexier ones that you're looking to improve your business. So think about actionable operational metrics like outbound emails, time to response, conversion steps, trial activation rate. One of our clients likes to look at basically rebooking rate. So if they have a customer that comes into their service-based business, they want to rebook them for their next appointment same day, like things that you can control on a daily basis. Those are your levers. If your dashboards aren't helping you pull those levers, they're just decoration. And worse, they can create a false sense of progress that you're tracking things, but you're not actually doing anything about it. The biggest problem, though, that I see is that companies have these nice dashboards and automated reports, but they're not reviewing them on a regular basis. Having a sound data strategy for your company involves looking at that data on a regular basis and making strategic changes on a regular basis based on what you're seeing, and then iterating and improving and changing your actions as a result. So even when companies have decent dashboards, they're not actually using them in that way. No meetings to align the team, no what did we learn this week moments. That's like owning an F1 car and never taking it out of the garage. Business improvement happens in the review. That's where insights turn into next steps. And that's why we created a free WBR template to help teams make data a part of their operating rhythm. It shows you how to run short, focused meetings that actually move metrics. You'll know what to look at, what to ignore, and how to drive action. We'll post it in the link below or in the comments below. It's totally free to use, and we would love to help you implement it if that's something that your company is looking into. This is something that was deeply embedded in the culture of both Uber and Amazon, which were a couple of companies that I worked at earlier in my career. We had standing WBRs on every single team that I was involved in at each of those companies. And I found serious power in what we would do there, because basically you would get people across different levels that were on the same team or in the same organization to look at the metrics that they had operational leverage over and built up the higher level KPIs that the organization was focused on. Maybe your top level metric for the company or the organization is gross bookings. That's not something that most 24-year-olds in the company have control over, but there are certain responsibilities that 24-year-olds in the company do have control over, and you can measure and see how you're performing against your individual targets. So that's the thought behind the WBR framework. So I'll flip over to just to show you a little bit about what that looks like. Basically, we've structured it in a way that you have an executive summary. So I think picking anywhere 6 or fewer primary KPIs to focus on is probably a good place to be. Like, you don't want to be overwhelming your team or your own mind share with too many metrics to track. Things that can be tracked pretty concisely in a big block number, see how week over week performance has trended, whether it's up or down, good or bad, depending on what the metric is. And then some semblance of a pacing to target. So it could be an annual target, quarterly, monthly, like whatever makes the most sense for your business. But having a sense of, are things trending the right way on the micro scale and then also on the macro scale. And this slide allows you to see all of that in a snapshot. And then the thought process is that for each of those KPIs, let's do a deeper dive. So something else that I haven't put on the slide yet, but I actually like to see on these types of slides, is to have an owner for each of the primary metrics. So like somebody that's accountable, or at least a team that is accountable towards that metric, like they're putting their name on it and there's a sense of ownership associated with that. So on the left-hand side here, you can see that we've got like a current value reported metric, the target for the metric, whether that's annual, quarterly, monthly, whatever the case may be, and how things are pacing towards that target value. If it's the first week of the year and you've only done $500K in revenue, that doesn't mean that the team's doing a bad job. It means that only 1 week of the year has completed. So you want to have some sense of how things are pacing always. We like to use a framework where there's 3 supporting metrics for each primary KPI. So even if the primary KPI is one of those things that's less operational in nature, or not something that you can necessarily move in and of itself on a regular basis, day to day, we like the supporting metrics to be strictly tactical operational metrics that have an impact on that higher level metrics. Want to track those, have some semblance of current value week over week performance there. And each of those kind of more operational tactical metrics should have some sort of goal associated with it as well that would allow you to achieve the higher level metric as well. So that's how we like to structure our Clarity implementations, but also this type of WBR process. And then further down on the screen, want to have some human intervention here in the reporting. So some actual commentary and post-mortem on what happened last week, like what actions did we take that were good and have a positive influence on metrics, what things could be improved upon, and then simultaneously, what's the plan for the coming week to make sure that we course correct if need be, keep doing more of the good things if things are trending well. And so we basically would flesh out a slide like this for each of the 6 or however many primary KPIs you surface on the executive summary slide. And then at the end of the day, it's all about wrapping up. What were the key wins this week? What were the areas of concern this week? How do we make sure that everybody that's a part of this meeting is on the same page heading into a new week? And then this is optional, but something that I like to have is, whether it's quarterly, annually, just having a couple of shared priorities for the company to be reminded of every week. These don't change. So obviously things are going to change on a weekly, daily basis in your business, but there should be a couple of key things that you're working towards, whether they are actual metrics or just a mindset that the team should be working towards. That's something that I like to, or I've seen has been helpful in the WBRs that I've participated in, just to keep everybody marching down the same path towards a shared vision. So that is the template that we put together. And like I said, you can get that from the link in our comments below. So here's your move. Download the WBR template and start running these weekly sessions with your team. Make it a part of your routine. Make your data useful. Once you build that muscle, that habit of acting on insights, then you're finally going to be in a position to scale and make the most out of your data. Then you're ready for the more advanced stuff. And in fact, that's exactly what we covered in one of my previous videos. It's titled, You Don't Need More AI, You Need an Analytics Foundation. So that'll show why AI is not ready to fix a broken strategy, but how you can set up a foundational analytics platform that will prepare you to unlock value out of all the great things that are associated with where AI is trending today. Click that now, and we'll meet you there. Thanks.